Hey, good morning or afternoon, everyone. This is Mark here, and today we're going to talk about, effectively doing shipping in Business Central. Or maybe I should say that differently. How about doing shipping effectively in Business Central is what we're going to talk about today. Shipping and fulfillment in general. So, I've titled this, key apps for warehousing, and but a lot of it is fulfillment. So, if we look at this, these are some of our applications that we have available. And again, that enhanced planning pack of which that enhanced planning worksheet and forecasting worksheet are free components. If you install this, you get those two for free. And that's really, you plan your purchases, all that kind of stuff and everything else, and away you go. But when we talk about fulfillment, we start really with the order fulfillment worksheet here. And that is almost a must have. If you're even a medium volume type of organization, or if you have e-commerce orders coming in, things like that, like you need this thing. Because what it does is you likely have somebody in the organization that shows up in the morning and says, geez, what do I need to ship today? Or what orders came in that I can fulfill today? Well, this gives you that answer and it automates that for you. So it tells you what you can ship today, what's being back ordered, what back orders have been fulfilled, based on order receipts that have come in, and then automates the creation of the picks and the shipments and everything else for you right from there. And it can be done interactively, or it can just run into job queue. So every 10 minutes, I've got new pick tickets popping out based on the latest orders. Okay, so almost a must have, that order fulfillment worksheet. Now, once we've decided what we need to get out of the warehouse, we can use either a full warehouse insight solution, which is our WMS. Let's go and pick the product and do whatever else we need with it. And we can also use WMS Express. As I said, if you only need receiving, picking, inventory counts, bin movements, those sorts of activities, WMS Express is all you need. You can scan barcodes to pick the product and get it over to shipping. And this is where we're going to focus on today mostly. Dynamic Ship is what we'll cover off, but I'm also going to cover off Order Ship Express because, again, it's quick and easy and it's free. But Dynamic Ship gives us a lot more capabilities for how we manage shipments. We can do parcel, LTL, international, all of those kinds of things. So you get more detail on what we can do in Dynamic Ship. I'm not going to read each bullet point there, but basically it allows you to do multi-carrier rate shopping, generate your labels, print bills of lading. We do full truckload, LTL, parcel, all of those sorts of things with the various connectors we have. So we got literally hundreds of different carriers that we can work with, including LTL carriers. And the way we do that, for the most part, is we have these things we call freight integration providers or connectors. And we've got 23 of those currently. There's a few main ones we work with because they're sort of the default ones, but we do have a whole bunch of connectors there. Some are pretty specialized, others are pretty generic, but we've got a lot of connectivity to the different carriers out there, and we can build new connectors if required. And there's some discussion to be had if you do need a new connector. All right, so a bunch of other goodies here. We've got that online connection, address validation, things like that. Probably read all those bullet points already, so I'm not going to talk about them. So the next thing that we've got, what happened there? All right, so keep going. We've got packaging options. So one of the key uses of Dynamic Ship is at a packaging station where I'm packaging a product and I can indicate, which items, lot numbers, serial numbers, whatever it happens to be, are going into which package. So with scanning or mouse and keyboard type stuff, we can build up those packages, and then that allows us to integrate with EDI and all sorts of other things. So that packaging capability is kind of a nice benefit of Dynamic Ship as well. Very extensible. Mentioned EDI integration. So with EDI, we don't do the EDI ourselves, but we do integrate with some of the key EDI providers out there, like SPS, TrueCommerce, Vantry, guys like that. And if you're using those, we can integrate with them directly. If not, it's often a very simple mechanism to integrate with whatever EDI provider you're using. And then it does work with all of our other InsightWorks solutions. So again, that chart, that graphic I had where we showed the key apps for warehouse, all those guys work together. You can get them all independently, but they all do work together if you have them. So as an example, Warehouse Insight. If you're using Warehouse Insight, there's an add-on, it's a free add-on in our add-on catalog that allows Warehouse Insight to print shipping labels for the carriers after you've picked everything on the handheld devices. Right? So anyway, all work together. That's all kind of cool stuff. All right, with that, let's jump in and actually see what these things look like. So what I'm going to start with first is that order fulfillment worksheet. Just really briefly, probably not, I'll probably talk your ears off, but order fulfillment worksheet, because it is so useful and is so important. Because again, you go into the warehouse and the first thing the guy is going to do when he shows up in the morning, or the girl, is going to say, yeah, or what do I need to ship today? What's come in? What's available to ship? What's not available to ship? All of those sorts of things. And that's what this tool is giving us, right? It's coming in and it's looking at all of our orders and the default orders by date. So the oldest orders get first crack at the inventory. And it's telling us, on this, so for this order here, what is actually available to ship. And we can see partial allocation, which means we can partially ship this, and some of those lines are only partially available. So for example, this first one here, the customer needs 10. We've only got one available to pick, so we've allocated that one. This quantity available to pick is actually what you can pick from the warehouse. That is not your inventory. That's what's available to pick. And there's rules in there to, prevent picking, block lot numbers or expired lot numbers, or, picking out of bulk storage areas or non-pickable bins if you've got the directed pick and put away turned on. So it's going to go out and actually figure out what you can pick. And it excludes reserved items, special order items, all those sorts of things. So even though I might have 100 of these in stock, it's telling me really I only have one available to pick for this order. And same thing here, I've got 4 available to pick. We've allocated 2 to this order, so it's fully available. The next order that needs this product is now only going to have 2 to choose from. So it's actually dynamically allocating this inventory to the orders based on the earliest shipment date first. And at some point, I'm going to run into orders that are no longer, don't have anything to ship because, I've allocated all of that inventory to the orders above it, right? So that's really what it does. It tells me what I can ship. You can set views, so I can filter this just to available, or I could change the sort. Maybe I don't care about dates. I want to ship the largest orders first. So if I sort by, the dollar amount on that, I can recalculate, and now it's going to reallocate based on dollar amount versus based on date, right? So lots of things you can do. And again, you can automate all that. So just every 10 minutes or half hour or whatever you've got it set to, I've got new pick documents popping up. Because if I want to create the pick tickets and warehouse shipments for this, I can simply come in, select a bunch or select everything, and just say, create my picks, and it's all automated for me. Now, if you're not using warehouse picks or inventory picks and you're just using, sales orders, it works with that too. So I'm loading up a location here that has no bins even, and I can use it with that as well. And it's listing all those orders. And from here, I would just simply go in and print the pick list for this particular sales order, but it gives me all that same capability. All right, so at any rate, that's how we generate the picks for the warehouse. Somebody goes out and picks it, maybe with WMS Express or maybe with Warehouse Insight. And then they come back and they drop it off at the packing station to generate shipping labels. So there's a few different ways we can generate those shipping labels. So in a simple environment, or even a high volume environment where I'm only using 1 or 2 different carriers, I might want to use OrderShip Express to generate those labels because it's quick and easy and it's free. So I'm going to go to the sales order to start with, and I'm coming in here, and let's assume we've picked this, it's ready to ship. All I want to do is come in here and create shipping labels. So this is OrderShip Express, these guys here. I've also got Dynamic Ship installed, which gives us a bunch of other stuff over here. But for OrderShip Express, I come in here, I've got this bike I need to ship, or a bunch of these bikes I need to ship. The customer wants it shipped USPS, and I can choose whatever carrier I want here on the order. I just need my shipping labels. So I hit this button, comes in, it defaults to what was on the order, but I could come in here and choose an alternate carrier if I like, and an alternate service if I like. So I can make those selections here. And one other quick note on OrderShip Express. You are limited to 3 carriers in OrderShip Express. So the 2 big limitations, one is no international shipments, and the other is 3 carriers at a time in here, okay, to select from. But at any rate, assuming I'm shipping USPS in this case, it's a 5 by 5 by 5 box that weighs 7 pounds. And I could come in here and choose a predefined package for rating. I'll get better rates if I use the USPS packages and everything else. But I've got, 5 by 5 by 5, 7 pounds. And then all I have to do is say get label, and it'll print the label. But before I do that, I want to see what it's going to cost me. So if I hit get rate, which is optional, I don't have to do that, but get rate says, okay, this label is going to cost me $59. I'm planning on charging the customer $74 for that. There's a simple markup that you can apply. I can obviously edit this and change it to something else to charge the customer something else. Or I could come in here and say, you know what, we don't really need an adult signature. There's a bunch of options you can set. You can also set third-party billing in here. If you want to bill to the customer's account number, you can do that as well. But I changed that to not require a signature, and it dropped it by a few dollars. So I'm going to choose this option, and I can now get the label. Again, you don't have to use that get rate, but it tells you what it's going to cost if the customer is asking for the freight cost before you even ship anything. Now, when I hit get label, it's going to go out, it's going to retrieve the label, and it's going to print it for me. And what's interesting is I have our print node connector installed, so that automatically just printed that label. I don't have to see a dialogue or a preview of it in the browser or anything. That just went off and printed on my label printer or my laser printer, and I've got my label, and it's done. And there you go. Now, I do have the ability to go in there and reprint that label. So here's one of these is the ones that just printed, but I've done this a few times before. But I can go in and reprint that label. And you can see here, if I just hit print, it's going to this Zebra printer immediately. I don't have to see it in the browser. That's our print node connector that's doing it. But if I just hit preview here, we can see what the label looks like. I think I have it set up in laser format, but it's just a shipping label, right? We've got everything we need there, and it prints, and away we go. And then what we did was we added that shipping charge onto the sales line. So we added the cost of that label here and what we're planning on charging the customer for that shipping. And if I scroll down, you can see we also added in the tracking number for that shipment. So simple as that. Took like 5 seconds. I've got a shipping label. I slap it on the box. I've got the tracking number. I've got the cost. I've got everything I need with Ordership Express. Free solution, 10 minutes to set up, and you can do that. Simple as that. You don't need your own accounts with USPS or UPS or any of those guys. You can use the built-in accounts. You get discounted rates, and that's a great solution. All right. Now, if I want to do something more, that's when I'm going to use, dynamic ship. So I'm just going to open up a different sales order here. Actually, I think I have a save view for it. And open up a different sales order here just to illustrate some of the things we can do from a sales order's perspective in dynamic ship. So here I've got a few different things to ship. And up at the top here, I've got a few options. One of them, I'll start with the quick address validation. So, here, this is a shipment in Canada, so I've got a postal code. But if I get rid of that postal code, this is now not a valid address. If I try and generate a shipping label for this, it'll check the address before it generates the label and give me an error. But, I want to test this before it gets down to the warehouse and they get all annoyed that we've sent them bad addresses. So if I do validate address up here, it's going to come in and says, hey, we found an issue with the zip code or the postal code, and we've corrected it for you because we could figure out from the rest of the address what this should be. And it'll make that correction and apply it for us automatically. So that can be set up to be done automatically. So every time I release a sales order, it does an address validation. Or every time I create a customer or a new ship to address for that customer or vendor address, you can do that address validation at all of those points in time. Okay, so I've got a valid address, and you'll notice on here, I haven't selected a carrier for this yet. So when I try and get a label, it's not going to know which carrier to use, and it's going to ask me to select one. So I might want to choose a carrier at this point first. And the way I could do that is I can do this freight quote. And typically this is used, LTL and things like that. And we have a couple of different ways of doing it. So the first thing is I can define all of these different templates, like a small box, normal size box. These can be carrier boxes. So if I'm using FedEx or whatever, I could have FedEx envelopes and packages and all that kind of stuff here. But I say, you know what, we're going to ship this in 2 boxes. And, so the average weight of each box is 35 pounds or 34.75. That weight is coming from the items in Business Central. And I can go ahead and get rates for that now. Now, this is a guess. I'm guessing how many boxes it's going to take me to ship this, and the weights are coming in automatically. And I'm guessing what size of box we're going to use. The alternative to that is AutoPack. And AutoPack allows us to set up a whole bunch of rules. It's really based on cubage and also length and width. And what it will do is it'll go out and it'll suggest the packaging I would need to ship this order. So I don't have to guess up here. You'll have a bunch of rules that says, okay, based on the items you're shipping, you're going to need 2 or 3 boxes or whatever. It'll automatically make those suggestions and then get the shipping rates for me if I like. Okay. In my case, I'm going to do, this approach. I'm going to hit get quotes here, and it's going to go out to all of my carriers that I have set up. And this includes LTL, parcel, everything else. And it's going to list everything that I can select from. So in here, we've got a few different carriers. So I've got FedEx set up, Pure Later, because this is a Canadian shipment. So it's a Canadian carrier. And I've got, UPS in here. And what this is telling us is this is what we're paying for the shipping. That's our cost. This, if I went to the FedEx website, that's what they'd be, charging as a list rate on the FedEx website. This is what we're going to charge the customer for that shipping. Okay. And then the FedEx test server doesn't often return good data, but this will tell us as well how many days we're planning to take to ship it, and if that, is a guaranteed shipment date. So, if they want overnight shipping, I can see how many days it's going to take to get that product to their doorstep. So I'm going to just choose one of these guys. And notice they get free shipping. I'm going to choose UPS Expedited here. And now that's taken that quote. It's set the shipping agent. That's the one we plan on using because that's what we quoted. And up at the top here, it's added in that rate quote. And it's told us this is what we're expecting to pay, and this is what we're charging the customer. Now, when I go to package this order, I might fit all of that in one box, and maybe this drops down to half. We have the option of updating the charge to the customer based on our actual charge, or keeping this quote regardless of what the actual labels cost us to generate. Okay, so this is our expected cost, and when we actually generate the label, we're going to update it to our actual cost, and then we have the ability at the same time to update this price or leave it as it is. And typically, if you're getting, if you're quoting shipping from an e-commerce site or something like that, that's going to come in here. You're going to have $9.99 shipping, and we're going to track the actual cost of that shipping compared to what you quoted. And then we have a dashboard, the dynamic ship analysis dashboard, that will go in and tell you if you're making or losing money on your shipping charges. Okay. Now, one other quick note on this. If you saw on the previous screen, we said we're charging $0 shipping for this customer, but here we put in 368 because we've marked it up by a certain amount. That $0 was set because their order value is over $1,000. So I have a rule set up that says if their order value is over $1,000, they get free shipping. And the way I do that is by giving them 100% discount on that freight line. So there's a number of different ways you can do that. Based on customer, the customer ship to address, the carrier service, the freight value, or the order value, and customer type as well. So customer group we can do. We can set markups, discounts, handling charges, flat rate fees, all of those sorts of things to drive what you want to charge that customer. Okay. Or if they get free shipping, we could have just left the shipping line off this order entirely if we wanted. Okay. So that's up to you. Okay. So that's basically it. Oh, and by the way, one other quick thing while I'm here. At the sales order level, you can also set all of these shipment options and packaging options as well. Quite often, this is also done at the warehouse level. But to get that sort of freight quote of $334, that's going to rely on some of the options that I set here. So in here, I can set whether I want blind shipment, or I could set the customer's account number and all that kind of stuff in these options, right? So here I do have adult signature set. So I've got a ton of options I can set on a per sales order level. I can also default these options in based on the customer and the carrier that I'm using. So for example, if I want to use the customer's account number, I can have that default in on the customer itself, and they'll have a different account number for UPS and a different one for FedEx and all that. So it's by customer and account. And all those options can default in every time I create a sales order for that specific customer and that specific ship-to address, right? So one ship-to address might use one UPS account number, and a different ship-to address might use a different UPS account number. You can set all of that up at the customer level and ship-to address level if you like. And these are the basic ones, but if you go in, there's a ton of different shipment options you can set for each of these shipments. And again, you can default all of that in automatically from the customer. Okay, so anyway, that's that. I've got my freight quote and everything else, and I'm good to go. Now, from here, if you want to keep it nice and simple, I could actually hit this quick label, and I can generate my shipping label from here almost exactly the same way I did it using Order Ship Express. I can just come in here. The advantage of dynamic ship is I could choose a template. I could say, yeah, I'm going to ship a small box, and it brings in the dimensions. I can use get weight to read the weight from a scale, and then I just say, get me my shipping label, and it's done. Simple as that, right? So if you want to keep it as simple as possible, even with dynamic ship, it's a couple of clicks, and I've got my shipping labels, and I'm done. I'm good to go. Okay. I'm not going to use quick label on this. I'm going to show you, how we would typically use it in a warehouse environment where we've gone and picked the product, we've brought it over to a packaging station, and now we want to ship the product out. Okay. So for that sort of use case, the way it works is most of the time, your people are going to be living in this package worksheet. So today, if you're running WorldShip or Ship Manager or some other external, multi-carrier shipping solution, you've got a screen open there that people are working in. In this case, you'll have Business Central, and you'll have this screen open within Business Central. And this is where people are actually going to execute that packaging operation and the labeling operation. So we'll go through a scenario where somebody's picked the product, they brought it over to my packaging station. Now I need to package it up, or maybe I picked it and I need to package it up. At any rate, if we're at a packaging station, we're going to load up the order and we're going to pack it. So to do that, I'm going to be using barcode scanning. You don't have to. You don't have to ever touch a barcode or anything if you don't want. But if you do have barcodes on your items, this is the ideal approach. Even if you don't have barcodes on your items, just having a little cheap USB barcode scanner attached to the terminal to scan the commands is nice. I've got a little cheat sheet of barcodes in front of me, and those barcodes represent anything I could do on any of these menus that you see here. So instead of me using the mouse and the keyboard to come in and find a specific menu or whatever, I just scan a quick command here. Much nicer. Okay, so to start with, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan the order number that I need to package up. So this would be a barcode on the pick ticket, right? And we do have with our barcode generator a bunch of sample reports that include barcodes on, picking less by order or warehouse pick or any of those sorts of things. So you don't have to do it yourself, but you can just, add that barcode onto whatever report you're using yourself. At any rate, I brought up the order, and now it's showing me everything that I need to package for this particular order, right? So these are the items I need to ship. It's showing us we'd already chosen UPS expedited down there, gives us the address we're shipping to, any other details we want to see here. And now I need to start my packaging. So the first thing it does is says scan a package to pack, because I need to tell the system what kind of packaging I'm using. Now, if you're using Warehouse Insight and you're building the packages up while you're picking or on a mobile device, I wouldn't have to do any of this. But in this case, somebody just dropped a pile of stuff off in front of me, and I'm going to start putting it in boxes. So as the packaging guy, I'm like, oh yeah, that'll just fit in our standard size box. I scan a command that says, create a new package for me with my standard dimensions. And it brings up, my standard dimensions, 20 by 12 by 8 box is my standard starting weight of 0 pounds. Okay. So now we have a package that we can start putting stuff into. At this point, you have a few options. right? Again, if you don't care which items are going into which box and things like that, that quick label works very well, because I just say, hey, I've got 2 standard size boxes. I can read the weight from a scale or enter the weight, give me my labels, and I don't have to do anything. Like, it's 5 seconds and you got your labels. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to show you the hardest way to do it. And the hardest way gives me a lot of advantages. That hardest way is I'm going to scan every single item that I'm putting into each box. If you don't have barcodes, clearly you can't do that. You can use the mouse and the keyboard to indicate which items are going into each box if you want. But with the barcode scanning, what that does is it gets rid of your missed shipments. So if you have issues where you're shipping the wrong product, or it's challenging, or if you have a separate QC step where somebody has to make sure the pick was done correctly, those sorts of things, that all goes away. Because what I'm doing is I'm picking up one of these things and in one hand, beeping it with the other, and dropping it in the box. If that's the wrong product, if somebody picked the wrong product or whatever, I'm going to get an error message. It's not going to let me package that item. I will never ship the wrong product again. I've got all my verification here by scanning this barcode. Now, again, just to reiterate, I think for the 90th time on this call, you don't need barcodes. You don't need barcodes to use dynamic ship. If you do have barcodes, you should use them though, right? Even if they're vendor barcodes, UPC barcodes, whatever, you can set up those references, and then you've got that validation. So I'm going to show you how that works. All right, I'm going to do it the hard way. So what I do is I grab one of those first items, scan the barcode. I've got it set up to just automatically increment the quantity by 1. So I scan this, it sticks it in that box. You can see it's updating the weight on that box as we go, just from the information in Business Central. And if I scan another one, it's just incrementing that quantity by 1 each time I scan. And I'm going to scan one of those guys. So you can see now we've got, these items packaged. It's calculated out the weight, those sorts of things. If I have a scale, I could, scan a command. Now, if I had a scale, it would have just read the weight from a scale and updated this automatically. Since I don't have a scale, I'm just going to type in the weight here, and we're good. So that's how we package. Now, if there was a lot number or serial number on there, I could have scanned the lot number and serial number or selected it from a list. So the value in that is, I don't have to care about the lots or serial numbers as I'm picking or even as I'm receiving. If you only care about, the lot and serial numbers that you've shipped to customers, I can record those here by scanning a barcode at point of shipping, right? So I don't, again, depends if you need full traceability throughout the warehouse and everything else on your lot numbers and serial numbers. But if you don't, if you just need to record, who I sold a serial number to, so in case I try and return a serial number I didn't sell them, this is great. I can go beep, and I can track the serial number and lot number that went in this box. Similarly, if this box goes missing, I got individual tracking numbers for the boxes. I can tell you which lot numbers or serial numbers were in each box. Okay. At any rate, let's pretend that guy is full. I filled it up. I weighed it. We're good to go. I'm going to start another box, and I'm just going to scan the remaining items into that box. And now it says we're fully packed. And the only thing left to do, other than if I wanted to weigh that box that I'm on now, the only thing left to do is get the label. And I scan my command to get the label. Because the carrier was already defined, it just prints the label. Now, I've got it set up to do a print preview. That's just a setting. Normally, again, that would just go out to whatever printer I specified. And again, if you use our print node connector, this label would already be on the printer. So within 2 seconds, it's on the printer. I'm just going to do a print preview here so you can see what it looks like. And it's the same. This is a UPS label instead of USPS, but it's the same concept. I've got box 1 or 2, box 2 of 2. We've got a master tracking number and the package specific tracking numbers with that as well. So I can go back and look at any of these packages. I can look at the shipment and see all of those details from there. Oh, and a couple of the other things I didn't mention here at point of shipping, I can also make some adjustments if I need to, like hazmat or any of that kind of stuff. I can make those adjustments here as well. Normally that's done at the sales order or just defaults in from the customer. Now, that was it. Like, that was the hardest way possible to package something up. And it took me like 10 seconds to do it. And I've got my shipping labels and everything else. And in addition to those shipping labels, I've got a bunch of other goodies, right? So we also send an email to the customer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Gmail here as if I'm the customer waiting for that shipment. And here's the email that I just got, 0 minutes ago. And this is just email out of Business Central, so you can set whatever name and all that kind of stuff you like. And the content of this email can be anything you like. You can make it as pretty as you want. You can include all the items that were shipped. Whatever you want to do, you can stick in there. No problem. Even the logo here. This is the Microsoft demo logo. And we can attach a PDF copy of the packing slip or the order confirmation or the invoice, depending on what stage of this you're at, onto this email. So you can include their invoice as a PDF if you like, or the body of the email could be the invoice or whatever you want to do. What's nice is we also send this tracking link. So for parcel shipments, sorry, it's opened up on the other screen there. So for most parcel shipments, I shouldn't say all parcel, but for most parcel shipments, you get a page like this. This has your logo on it, not InsightWorks. That would be your logo, your advertising, your links, all of that kind of stuff that gets sent to the customer. So they don't go to the UPS site to look at their tracking. They come to a page that looks like your website. Now, if you already have a customer portal that has this sort of tracking capability, again, we put the tracking number in Business Central that your portal can pull out and provide whatever tracking information you like. But if you don't have that, this is a great page. Looks like your website. It's got your links, all that kind of stuff. And it's got all the same detail as if I went to the UPS, page. And, this little timeline thing there updates as new events come in. The only thing that changes here is the carrier, right? That would say FedEx or whatever carrier you're using, but the rest is just there. It's nice and quick and easy. Okay, so we sent the email to the customer, include the tracking information, and in the current release of Dynamic Ship, of 2.9 release of Dynamic Ship, we also bring back that tracking information back into Business Central, so you can just go in and look at all your shipments and see if they've been delivered or if they're in transit, or if they haven't been picked up. All of that status detail is also available from the shipment list right within Business Central as well. Okay, now back to the order stuff though. So now if I open up this order, you can see that on the shipping charge here, we've updated both the cost and the price. I have it set up to change what we're charging the customer based on our actuals versus based on what we quoted them. So they're actually, well, they're not saving anything because they still get a 100% discount, but they would have saved some money. Or we could have left that quote the same and just adjusted the cost based on the actual. And then again, down here, if we go into the shipping side of it, we put the tracking number and everything else. And if I want to come in there, I can go in and see all the packages that were shipped with this order. And if I open up those packages, I've got the contents of each package. I can reprint the label or get return label or void the label. I can see, all of those details, the tracking number that's specific to this package, not to the order as a whole. All that kind of stuff is there. So tons of information for managing, your packaging and your tracking and everything else. So that's basically it. Pretty darn simple to use. And again, didn't have to do any of that. I could have done the quick label, which takes 5 seconds, and I get my shipping labels, and away we go. Now I'm going to bring up another order here real quick. And this one, because it's an international order, I'm shipping from my US branch to a Canadian address, and I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to package one of those bicycles here for shipment. And now I need to deal with the customer's information. So for that, all I do is, again, I scan a little command or choose it from the thing, and it brings up our customs card. So this is effectively the information required for the commercial invoice. And up at the top here, this all defaults in. You can set this to a default as well. There's a few other things, like if you're using a customs broker, you can specify their details here, and a few other things that you can set. And I should actually just check something. There we go. I didn't mention earlier, but if you do have questions, just put them in the GoToWebinar question panel. It looks like there are a few questions there that I've been ignoring, but I'll get to them in just a second. At any rate, we come in here, all of this stuff comes in. Down at the bottom, this is what we're shipping on this particular shipment, just one of those bikes. All of this, again, comes in from the existing Business Central data. So this value, this is coming off the sales line. I've overridden it to be $1, so you can override some of these things. For customs purposes, I'm valuing this thing at $1. The weight, the country of origin, and the tariff code, all of that stuff comes in automatically. So I really don't have to do anything here. If I hit certify, that electronically signs it under my ID, and we transmit this information to the carrier, and they're going to send back a commercial invoice for us. So if I'm shipping this UPS, I'm going to get a UPS branded commercial invoice back if I want to print it out and put it on the packages. Or I can print a commercial invoice that comes out of Business Central that you can customize if you like. Okay. Either way, that information goes to the carrier electronically, and customs gets cleared electronically, and away you go. Okay. Now, if there's other documentation you need to ship this, like if there's hazardous material or restricted goods or things like that, that's not done typically within Dynamic Ship. You either need custom reports within Business Central for that, or external reports and those sorts of things. But we do handle customs clearing and the commercial invoice automatically for that. Okay. So that's the international stuff. Now, we also have now, and what we support on this, I should mention, I've been scanning in sales orders here. We support transfer orders, sales orders, warehouse shipments, and there's also the ability to add in custom documents. So we've done things with other partners for rental shipments and all sorts of stuff. But if you just need to do a miscellaneous shipment, like I'm shipping a forklift battery from warehouse 1 to warehouse 2, or I'm shipping a stack of documents to my lawyer or something like that, we have that ability to do these miscellaneous shipments. The miscellaneous shipment is, dirt simple. I'm going to ship some stuff, and I'm going to choose who I'm shipping it to, so I can manually enter an address, so truly miscellaneous, or I can choose a contact or a vendor or another warehouse location or whatever it happens to be. And when I've chosen that, ship to, it drops in the address, which I can, mess around with and all that sort of thing. And again, I can come in here and it's got all the same capabilities that we had before. I can validate that address if I've manually entered it and see if it's correct. All of those sorts of things. I've got the package options and the shipment options, like if I want to bill it to their account or whatever it is. But to determine what I'm shipping, I just simply come in here and I'm going to go and say, I'm going to ship a pallet, right? So I'm going to ship a pallet and it's got the stuff on it. That pallet has some default dimensions that come in and a starting weight. It's going to be a 100-pound pallet, and that's basically it. And now I can go ahead and get that label. Simple as that. I don't have to have items. I don't have to have a sales order. I don't have to have anything. I can just ship anything to anyone from here. So the miscellaneous shipment is kind of handy. And it can be used if you do have custom stuff in your environment and you just want to be able to ship and get labels and manage the shipping the same way you would with a sales order. Okay, so that's a miscellaneous shipment. Now, one last thing I think I'll talk about, and I don't think I've forgotten anything yet, but maybe, is the ability to do the LTL shipping. So everything I've shown you works with parcel or LTL or full truckload. It's all the same process and everything else. So I've switched over to this one that has my LTL carriers set up. And here I'm in something called order packaging. And order packaging, if I go back here, previously I'd loaded up the package worksheet and the miscellaneous shipment. If I go into order packaging, all that is just a list of all the orders that I can ship, right? So there's a few goodies here, like I can do batch labeling. As an example, if we have some people that use their shipping labels as pick tickets because they're single item orders, they'll print out 500 shipping labels in a batch and use those to actually pick the product and slap the label on, and away we go. So we can use the screen for a number of different things. But really what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to open up one of these warehouse shipments, and you can see we've got a few of these things packaged up already. So this is already packaged. I'm not going to change it. This is going to be a pallet shipment. We've got our weights, 800-pound pallet, 3x3 pallet, basically. We got we can calculate an MFC, or it can, come in back from the carrier, that sort of thing. So we've got sort of all our details we need to actually go out and get a freight quote for this. So same thing up here. I come in, I can hit get label, or I can scan the get label command. I'm just going to hit get label. You'll notice down here, we haven't specified a carrier that we're going to use. Again, this works with parcel or LTL. Because we haven't specified a carrier, when I say go out and get me my label, it's going to go out and check with every single carrier that I have set up to figure out who wants to quote me and what services they can quote me for this shipment. So I'm going to hit get label. And what we're going to see is it's going to take a little longer because we've got about 50 LTL carriers set up in the system. And what it's doing is it's asking every one of those carriers to quote on this particular shipment, and it's doing it in real time, right? So instead of phoning your broker or phoning 2 or 3 carriers and chatting with them on the phone, you can hit this button, and within 30 seconds, again, because I got 50 carriers set up, it's going to come back and it's going to give me all the options for this particular shipment. All right, so out of all of those different carriers that I have set up, these are the only guys that wanted to quote me on it. So I've got Estes here, I've got FedEx, blah blah blah. I've got a bunch of guys that quoted, and you can see what they're planning on charging me, right? So I can come in here, choose the cheapest rate, cheapest or fastest delivery. Oh, holy moly, I wouldn't want to ship it that. Anyway, so we can grab one of these guys, and as soon as I do that, what it's going to do is it's going to go out, it's going to register that shipment with the carrier. It's got this the bill of lading. So this is the bill of lading that's coming back from the carrier. So this is not the one that's generated from it within Business Central. It's the carrier's bill of lading. We're going to print pallet labels as an option. If you want to print the pallet labels and those sorts of things, you can do that here as well. And you can print your own bill of lading. So that was the bill of lading that came back from the carrier, right? I can also come in and print our own bill of lading on here that you can customize, right? So this is the bill of lading from within Business Central. You can put your details, your logo, your whatever the heck you want in here, and use this one instead. Okay, so either way, we've got those capabilities. But that's basically, well, that's not all late night infomercial here. The other thing you can do is you can actually go in and you can schedule the pickup for the shipment. So you can actually go in and you can schedule when you want the carrier to come in and pick it up, and also specify the loading dock and all of those sorts of things that you want them to use. So with LTL, you've got a lot more options to select from. You've got all your accessorials. You can choose the equipment type. You can choose whether you need a lift gate, all of those sorts of things, right? So tons of different options like inside pickup or holiday, or I don't know, I guess New York Metro is important. But anyway, you can set all of this kind of stuff, whether you need, freezer and blah, blah, blah. All of these sorts of things, pallet jack, you can set. But you can also come in here and set, which dock you want them to use, when you want them to pick up. All of those sorts of things can be set, and you can schedule that pickup all electronically. Okay, so if you're doing LTL, that gives you a lot of capability there. So first, pricing in Order Ship Express is free. Dynamic Ship is per location, so it doesn't matter how many packaging stations or whatever you have. Per physical shipping address, you need a license. First one is full price. Subsequent ones are significantly cheaper, almost like 50% off. So very, low cost subscription and no user licensing. As far as the implementation, your partner will likely do it for you. Most partners do it themselves, but we do also have fixed price implementation plans where we'll do the implementation, like the install, the setup, the training, the support during UAT, all of that kind of stuff we handle for a pretty reasonable cost on that fixed price implementation option. The one above it, the freight integration providers, that's a key one, okay, because that will have an impact on your monthly cost. So the way we do most of these connections is through a third-party API provider, and one of them is EasyPost. That's the one we use a lot of, and for the parcel stuff. But we have 23 of those connectors. So if EasyPost isn't a fit, we've got ShipStation or Parcels or somebody else that might be a fit. And regional too. We've got We've got Australian and all sorts of different connectors for different regions, and we can build custom connectors. We also have a few direct connectors. So for example, FedEx, where we don't go through a third party, we just go direct to FedEx and things like that. Now, if we are going to a third party API provider, they will charge you a certain amount. So LTL, we use people like FreightView or 2Ship or Banyan to do the LTL side of it. And the way it works is you engage with them to see which one of those is going to meet your needs, and then we'll provide the integration to that. There's no cost software-wise for that integration to any of those if we have that existing connector, but you do need to engage with them, figure out which one is going to work best for you, if they have the right carrier coverage, service coverage, everything else. Once you've decided that they'll work, again, we'll just integrate with them using our account information. Okay, so that's LTL and also parcel as well. Now, on the parcel side, EasyPost provides up to 3,000 shipments a month at no additional cost if you're using their carrier accounts. If you bring your own, there's going to be a per label cost with EasyPost currently. And again, we have some other options that don't have per label costs as well. We find EasyPost is currently, it's a reasonable cost, and you get a lot of benefit from that in addition to just labeling. But you can get up to 3,000 shipments a month through EasyPost at no additional cost for anything. If you look at their website, it says they charge $20 a month or whatever. If you're using Dynamic Ship, that fee is waived. So you just sign up through the Dynamic Ship link, and you won't get charged anything. And then, yes, we have the ability again to add those direct connections if required, and we're adding more and more of those all the time. Okay, so be sure to ask about what, when you come in and you're getting set up, what carriers you have, and we can help you determine the best connection mechanism for each of those carriers. All right. Now, if you have any additional questions, get a hold of us on our website there, or talk to your partner if you want, sort of exact pricing on it, or again, contact us through the website. All right. Finished 1 minute early. I was actually 14 minutes late, but thanks everybody for attending. I hope that was good for you, and I hope to see you on the next webinar. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more great content, and remember to hit that bell icon to stay updated. See you in the next video.